Chopin's Etude Opus 25 number 2 for small hands isn't really much harder for us than for anyone else in the right hand, but the left hand can be pretty tricky because there are very big leaps, and it's really important that you rotate through those instead of trying to stretch them. I'll show you some of those spots and how that can work. I also recommend, no matter what your hand size is, this is a really good piece to practice hands separately for a while. So you want to do just the right hand and then just the left hand by itself. Those of us with small hands are going to need to spend more time on the left hand. And then you can put them together. You want to experiment with the left hand fingering and find out which fingers work best for the middle notes. You're going to need the pinky for the outside, but then the inside part I would mostly avoid using 5 for the middle unless you really need it because you're stretching an octave. Usually 3 or 4 is going to work better. A nice way of thinking about what fingering you want to use for the middle is to practice grouping the high note down to the next 2 notes. So instead of doing this group, you're actually going to play this guy by himself and then do this group and then this group and this group and this group. If you can avoid using 5 for the middle note, it's nice to feel the left hand as one unfolding gesture per measure. When you do use 5, like in measure 2 and similar places, it's still helpful to think of the left hand as being one gesture. That gives us that nice melodic bass from downbeat to downbeat. I recommend using 3 and 4 for middle notes in measures 35 and 39. So 35 is 5, 1, 4, 3, 1, and then 4 down to 5. You can reach that 5th from the 4 to 5 on the E flat to A flat if you use the one-eared llama. The one-eared llama is a hand position that might seem sort of strange, but can actually be really, really useful and helpful. So if you imagine that your hand and your arm are a llama, here's two-eared llama, hello, with this being the body, and this being the neck, and this being the head, ears, nose, mouth. The distance between the ear and the nose is actually really far, and if you let your hand close, it can help you find the shape that you need. So just to really show you the difference between what's possible with a flat hand stretching and what's possible with a one-eared llama, this is about as far as I can stretch my 4th finger and 5th finger apart. And it doesn't feel great, and it's not that far. So if I take this distance, and then I turn my other hand into a one-eared llama, look at how much farther I can reach between 5 and 4. And of course it's true in both hands. So the one-eared llama reminds us that we are 3-dimensional creatures and that we're going to sometimes need strange hand positions that are not just your typical 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 position, but that you can find the comfortable position that will let you get to where you need to go. That works for measure 39 too. Here I like to use 5, 1, 4, 3, 1, 3, down to 5. But if I try to stretch from the 3 to 5, this feels really uncomfortable and I get tight in here. But if I let my hand close into llama so that the 4th finger is kind of on the same team as the 3rd finger, it becomes possible. In measure 47, I recommend using 5, 1, 3, 4, 1, 2. And that actually gives us a nice moment of having 4 in both hands at the same time. It's just a little moment of symmetry and kind of solidarity in both hands that feels really nice. As you're working out the mechanics of this piece, I really recommend practicing without pedal. That will make you hear well, and when you add the pedal in, it will be a choice, not an addiction. Then you can see Chopin is using pedaling to show phrasing. The first 8 bars only have pedal markings under measure 5 and measure 7, and if you honor that, it really emphasizes those harmonies and brings them into relief. If you do decide to use the pedal where Chopin didn't mark it, either to connect notes that you need to or to make a dry room sound live, you can still honor Chopin's pedal markings by underlining his pedal places with a little extra pedal. So remember to rotate through that left hand and use legato pedaling where you need to, and enjoy Opus 25 number 2. Let me know if you have any questions, and good luck.